Have you looked at the research data done by a Dr. Wakefield from England on the issue of MMR and autism? Are you familiar with that at all?
Yes, I'm familiar with it. I've actually met Dr. Wakefield and conversed with him.
Okay. One of the things that I've been very concerned about since I've been working with the chairman on this issue, and it's about 3 years now, I think this is now the third epidemiologic study. There were 2 out of England, and then there was this, maybe it's the 4th one. I think there was a U.S. study, if I'm not mistaken.
There's a Finnish study, Vertaald, as well.
Okay. But nobody has made an attempt to duplicate a clinical study like the original Wakefield research. And can you honestly refute Dr. Wakefield's clinical data with all these epidemiologic studies, particularly in light of the conversation I just had with Dr. Spitzer, that the best study we've had so far can only be used to say that MMR does not cause all autism cases in Denmark, and that the study does not exclude the possibility that MMR is causing a percentage of them?
The answer is no. I can't refute that. While thimerosal is my major research base as a clinician, and after conversations with Dr. Wakefield, one of his great concerns is regressive autism, the fact the child starts out normal and then gets worse. And another one of his great concerns is the second shot. None of these studies have actually looked at these subgroups in any detail.
Although MMR is a very important issue as well, and important to me, I'm interested in the thimerosal issue because it has been given to literally millions of people since the 30s. And it's been given in more and more greater quantities in recent years because of the number of vaccinations involved. Do you personally believe from your studies that the mercury is a contributing factor to the cases of autism we have in this country?
Yes.
Do you think it's a large contributing factor, or do you have any percentages? I mean, I know this is a tough question and everything, but you've done a lot of research.
I think it's hard to look at a percentage. I think that as NIH is focusing on, there's probably an environment-gene interaction. In other words, a lot of children get the injection and don't become autistic. And so there must be something special or different about the way a certain subgroup of children are able to handle toxins, which, as I alluded to earlier, is known for other toxins. I mean, that's not a foreign concept. I don't think we yet know the answer to that. I think that one of the striking things is over the years at NIH and NICHD, the idea of regressive autism was not well accepted. It was sort of originally preached that you were sort of autistic from birth and that actually there weren't that many children who have regressive autism. But the NIH, with good data and with good science, has actually reversed its position quite a bit on that, and this group seems to be increasing. And so up to somewhere between 30% and 40% of children in very conservative studies seem to have this regressive autism. In other words, it doesn't seem like they're starting out abnormal. Something happens to them and they backslide. So I think if you want to take a conservative estimate and you want to take those conservative numbers, because there are other studies that say 60–70% of autism is regressive, I think that it's a very good chance, it's more likely than not, that it contributes or causes autism in about 40% of children who are autistic.
Would you say that a child like my grandson, who got 9 shots in one day, 7 of which contained thimerosal, would you say that they had a greater risk of getting creating a neurological problem like autism than?
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't touch on that. I tried to be very conservative with my analysis, but as you pointed out, these EPA guidelines are a small amount per day. These kids are getting an enormous amount all at once, and as you say, you could average the amount of a lethal injection over your lifetime and say, well, you never in any one day got a lethal dose. The only trouble, you'd be dead and 6 feet under the ground. So yes, I mean, those are the most concerning cases, children who were okay, who got worse, and whose parents can link this to a single or a serial set of exposures to mercury. And That sounds like the absolute typical case that we would be most concerned about.
Dr. Geier, I think you indicated that in some cases kids are getting 100 times the amount that, of mercury that would be tolerable at one time.
Yes, in fact, some of those calculations are over 100 times.
So a child that got multiple vaccines in one day could conceivably be getting more than 100 times the amount, according to EPA, that's a tolerable level of mercury in one fell swoop.
Yes, and their levels are actually conservative because they meant by ingestion, not by injection.
Mm-hmm.
So their studies were not usually by injection.
The injection would be actually
It's worse.
Worse,
Yes.
much more lethal, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question that these children are overdosed.
Would either one of you take 9 shots in one day, knowing that 7 of them contained mercury at the same time? Or would you allow that to happen to your kids or grandkids, whether they're healthy or not?
You know, a mercury thermometer broke in my house, and I cleared everybody out of the house and went to my lab and got these, really, bioresistant gloves and cleared it up like a toxic spill. No, of course not. It's a really bad compound.
I wouldn't, and I had a different situation. I run a laboratory that does chromosome analysis, and we had a mercury vapor bulb break. We were located near the NIH, and we cleared the building and had the NIH guys come in with, full body suits to clean out the area.
I think we've dramatically underestimated what's been in the literature for the entire last century, that this is a highly toxic compound. The more we look into it, the worse it gets.